where there is an Egyptian expat vote hits its 9 a.m. time zone, the expat vote there will start and will last for 48 hours. There will be 2 voting days for Egyptian expats. There will be 12 hours in each day for these votes. Time now for a break here, dear viewers, but please don't go far, as we will have more on the elections, more updates, more insight from our guests, and we also, in less than in about 15 minutes time, we will have another update on the top stories making the headlines for the day. And now we have with us live over the phone Dr. Mustafa Ragab, who is a member of the Egyptian community board in Europe. And he's talking to us from London?
Yes, London.
Good evening, or good morning, should I say, Dr. Ragab? I don't know. Thank you very much for staying up very late. It's almost midnight in London now?
Yes, it's still good evening in London and it's good morning in Egypt.
Yeah, okay. What time is it in London at the moment?
It will be 11:30.
Okay. Thank you very much, Dr. Ragab, for staying up late. Please tell us, as you are a few hours away from the start of the second phase of voting, what is the mood like within the Egyptian community in London ahead of the voting that you know, that is the second round, the second phase, because 2 weeks ago you did exactly the same. So tell us, what's the mood like? What's the atmosphere like?
Right. To start with, I'm just Mr. Ragab, not Dr. Ragab.
Okay, sir.
And secondly, obviously, we have talked to all the authorities in Egypt about the election for the Egyptian in Europe in general and in the UK in particular. It's a very, very difficult operation for the Egyptian, and people just frustrated because they cannot really exercise their rights in voting. We have a lot of problems, and we need to be looked into in order to the Egyptian abroad in Europe to exercise the right for voting. The distance, we only in UK, we only have the Egyptian embassy in central London for everyone to vote. And you can imagine if you're living in Marsa Matruh and you are required to come to Cairo to vote.
Yes.
That will never happen. So that's just an example, and that goes for all the countries in Europe. But despite that, there is a few Egyptian, who do that. People in London, they do. But of course, people also feel a lot of costs and a lot of time. You pay hundreds of pounds in transportation to come and vote in London. Some of them have to stay overnight because they cannot go back on the same day. Some of them do, and I really raise the hat for all of them who do that. But there is something in general in life, so-called consultation. We have to have a consultation to see how we can get the best results for the Egyptian abroad. Secondly, the people who are standing for the election, they just don't try to get in touch with the Egyptian abroad. We have to try ourselves to know who's standing for the election, what is their manifesto, and try to get some of them to have a discussion with them on Zoom to recognize what is their program and what they can do. So this operation for the Egyptian abroad, yes, people are excited, people want to vote, people want to exercise their rights. But we have to make it easy for them, not very easy, but not to make it very difficult. And we have sent messages to all the authorities. They are studying the situation, they're trying. We have to have a postal vote or electronic vote. This is now the time for the technology to come forward and make these things possible and easy for the Egyptian abroad. So people do like to exercise the rights. They do. They come from far away to vote. But if we want to have the real picture for the Egyptian abroad, we have to make things a little bit easier for them.
Right. I mean, Mr. Ragab, you are mentioning very important points, and I guess the first point you mentioned about many Egyptians having to spend a lot of money and to travel for long distances to be able to cast their ballot is a problem that is especially tied to the UK, where London is the only place where Egyptians can vote in, whether they reside in England, Wales, Scotland, or Northern Ireland, correct?
Right. I'd like to be honest and give you the best picture. I know that there's a lot of people who come on the phone or on the telly and say there is numbers of people, a lot of people, but this is not the true picture. I've seen a lady, a disabled lady, coming from Newcastle to vote. I've seen another lady coming from Oxford, and when she arrived to the embassy, she left her ID or the Ragab Qawmi behind, and she wasn't able to vote. So people do the efforts. So a lot of people come and give the wrong picture that people in Europe in numbers voting, but this is not the honest truth. We need to look at this operation more carefully. And because what I'm saying here, the most important issue here is our young people in Europe. Our young people asking themselves the question, how come Great Egypt cannot do the postal or voting or the electronic voting? So we have to look in front of them in a good face, in a good picture, that yes, we can do it. Look, whatever you do, there will be mistakes, but what percentage of mistakes? If the percentage is high, then we need to see how we can do it better. But at the end of the day, unless you can afford to make other centers for voting, one up north, one south, and if you can do that, then maybe you make it easier for people. But then you say about cost, and having places like this will cost a lot of money, but there's got to be a way. And I'd really love to live to the day that we do consultation with the Egyptian in Europe to get to the best result. But we don't have that. We are the one who try to contact the authorities. I am the one who's trying to be honest. And as I said, there's a lot of people who come on telly, say people voting in numbers. That can happen in the Arab countries because it's easier for them. They have so many consulates and they can exercise their rights. And also, there is a lot of the people in the Arab countries, their relative or their council, people standing for them, so they go. But for us in Europe, we don't have anyone standing for us. We don't have any, even the people who represent us, who are supposed to represent us for the Egyptian abroad, we don't know them. They don't get in touch with us. Once they are elected through the party, we don't hear anything for them. So the whole operation needs to be looked into and be improved. Consultation is our tool now to get to some good results about election for the Egyptian in Europe. And I'm sure people in other countries have different views. But at the end of the day, in Europe and in the UK in particular, it's very difficult for us to vote.
Well, very important points again you're mentioning, Mr. Ragab. Finally, for those who do vote, what's the gathering like? I mean, when Egyptians are together, probably those who don't know each other, that person or this person that came from here or there, and meet at the embassy to cast their ballots. What's the atmosphere like in such a grouping or a gathering in an event that is related to the mother homeland?
You are talking about a very important issue. Yes, yes, there is a lot of Egyptians who come to meet, who come to get to know each other, and we have a group of people doing that on Saturday and tomorrow. People coming from other places in the UK, but they are arranging, you believe it or not, they are arranging having breakfast together, having lunch together.
Wonderful.
In the meantime, get to know each other.
Wonderful.
And in our WhatsApp groups, a lot of activities happening regarding this, and people want to meet at 9 in the morning to have breakfast. People want to meet in the evening to have dinner, but on the other hand, they are going to vote. So this is about, we need numbers. When you talk about 50 or 100 people coming together, this is nothing comparing to over 250,000 of Egyptians in UK. So we have to look at the biggest picture. Yes, you're absolutely right. People use the occasion to meet and greet and entertain and do a lot of social things. But you need the bigger picture. You need, when you have over 250,000, at least, because they're all eligible to vote, at least you should have 150,000 people voting. So not hundreds of people.
Okay. Again, thank you very much for raising up so many important
My pleasure.
points.
I've just been honest because I want the best for the Egyptian in Europe and the UK, and we have to look into these points and work on it in order to give a true picture. Because people look at the Egyptian and say they're not interested. No, we are very interested. But you have to make it.
And honesty is such a lonely word, just like Billy Joel says. So thank you very much.
My pleasure. All the best.
Mr. Mustafa Ragab.
Thank you for Nile TV. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, very much. That was Mr. Mustafa Ragab, a member of the Egyptian communities, the Board of Egyptian Communities across Europe, talking to us from London. Dear viewers, in just about 5 minutes, we'll be back with the top stories here on Nile TV. Please don't go away.